Hello everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel. Today we are going to study chapter 5 life process of class 10th. The topics to be covered in this lecture are what are life process and nutrition in plants. So students, the very basic question is what are life process? Life process है क्या? So we can say that all living organism, जितने भी living organism हैं जैसे कि humans, animals and plants. They perform certain activities to stay alive and these basic activities are called life process. So how can we define life process? Life process are the basic functions that are necessary for the organism to stay alive, such as nutrition, respiration, transportation and excretion. Now, what is nutrition? The process by which living organism takes food and converts it into energy. What is respiration? The process of breaking down food to release energy. Transportation is the movement of important substances within the body, and excretion is the removal of waste produced in the body. So in simple words, we can say that life process are the basic activities that living organism performs to stay alive. And these processes are very important for the survival of every living organism, and without them, life cannot exist. So students, to perform these life process or the vital activities of the body which keeps the animal alive, every animal needs food. Food. Why? Because food is the body fuel that gives us the energy to perform these activities. And so in short, we can say that food gives us the energy and nutrients which is required for life, and without food, no living organism can survive. Students, food which provides us energy to maintain life is an organic substance. Now, what is organic substance? Organic substances are made mainly of carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, and sometimes nitrogen and sulfur. And these form the basis of life. That is, they are very essential for life as they are the building blocks of cells and tissues, because all the cells and tissues in living organism, that is whether it is plants or animals, are made up of organic substances. And examples such as carbohydrates, proteins, fats, vitamins. Here you can see an example of a glucose which is included in carbohydrates. Formula is C6H12O6. We can see this is containing carbon atoms, hydrogen atoms and oxygen atoms. So this is a linear chain of 6 carbon atoms which is attached to hydrogen and oxygen. The 6 essential classes of food are the main groups of nutrients that our body needs to stay healthy and function properly. And these include carbohydrates, proteins, fats, vitamins, minerals, and water. Hence, a healthy diet, including all these 6 classes of food, is very important. Now, carbohydrates, it is the main source of energy in the body, and the good source of carbohydrates are rice, bread, potato, or sugar. Proteins, these help in growth and repair of the body tissues. Example, eggs, milk, meat, beans. Fats, fats provide us energy and also keeps the body warm, and we can get fats from butter, oil or nuts. Next come vitamins. These help in protecting the body from disease and keeps us healthy. And fruits and vegetables are a very good source of vitamins, even milk, and hence we should include lots of fruits and vegetables in our diet. Minerals helps in strong bones, teeth, and proper body functions. Examples iron, calcium, potassium, sodium, and then lastly comes water, which helps in digestion, circulation, and removal of waste. And it is very essential for all life process. So in short, we can say that these six essential classes of food are very important and are needed for energy, growth, and good health. Now, students, the two terms, nutrition and nutrient. What is the difference between the two? Let us understand. Now, what is nutrition? Nutrition is the process by which living organisms take food and use it for growth, energy, and repair of the body. Whereas nutrient are the chemical substances which an organism obtains from food and uses it to carry out the life process. So I hope it is clear to you. Nutrition is the process of taking in food, whereas nutrient are the chemical substances in the food that helps to perform the various life process. And this word nutrition is derived from the word nutrient. So far we have discussed about the life process, what is life process, and the importance of food to perform the life process. Now what we will discuss about the modes of nutrition. Now what do we mean by modes of nutrition? Modes of nutrition means the ways or the methods of obtaining food by organism. And the methods of obtaining food is classified into two basic types, that is autotrophic and heterotrophic. Autotrophic are the ones who make their own food, and heterotrophs are the ones which cannot make their own food and depend on other plants or animals for their food. Autotrophs are divided into two types, photosynthetic autotrophs and chemosynthetic autotrophs, whereas heterotrophs are divided into three types, saprotrophic, parasitic, and holozoic. In the previous slide, we studied about the two basic modes of nutrition, autotrophic and heterotrophic. Now we will discuss each of these in detail, and we'll begin with autotrophic. If we split this word into two, then auto means self and trophic means nutrition. That is, all green plants and bacteria which contain chlorophyll have the ability to trap solar energy and make their own food utilizing inorganic raw materials such as carbon dioxide and water, which is present in the surrounding. We all know that CO2 is present in atmosphere, water is also present in our surrounding. All animals exhale out carbon dioxide, and this process of making food is called photosynthesis. And these plants are also known as transducers, as they are able to convert one form of energy to another. That is, they have the ability to convert light energy to chemical energy. This chemical energy, that is the food, available as organic material or the substance, example glucose. Nutrition in plants. So we all know that plants are autotrophic. Autotrophic means they are able to synthesize their own food by the process of photosynthesis. What is the meaning of photosynthesis? It is split into two words, photo and synthesis. Photo means light and synthesis means to build. That is, light is used to build food. And we all know that plants use sunlight to prepare food from carbon dioxide and water, the raw materials, in the presence of chlorophyll, which is present in the green parts of the plant. And this chlorophyll is present in actually chloroplast inside the plant cells and release oxygen during the process in the atmosphere. So chloroplast contain chlorophyll, which is responsible for the green color to the plant. Students, in this figure, you can see the process of photosynthesis. This is sunlight, that is solar energy. This is the green part of the plant, that is the leaf, which has chlorophyll in the chloroplast cells. And this is carbon dioxide taken by the plant from the atmosphere and water from the soil. Now, water is being taken from the soil. So, this carbon dioxide, water in the presence of light energy gets converted to glucose and oxygen is released in the process. Oxygen gas is being released. Now in this process, carbon dioxide is reduced to carbohydrates and water is split into oxygen and hydrogen. So this figure depicts photosynthesis. In the previous slide, we have discussed that autotrophs are divided into two types, photoautotrophic and chemoautotrophic. So by photoautotrophic, we mean photo means light, auto means self, and trophic means synthesis. That is the bacteria which can carry out photosynthesis and synthesize its own food. The difference is that photosynthetic bacteria have a substance called bacteriochlorophyll. It lives in lakes and pools and uses the hydrogen from hydrogen sulfide instead of water for the chemical process. And the bacteriochlorophyll pigment absorbs light in the extreme UV and infrared parts of the spectrum, which is outside the range used by normal chlorophyll. Example, cyanobacteria, blue-green algae, bacteriochlorophyll, and thiocystis. In the previous slide, we studied about photosynthetic autotrophic bacteria, that is, which utilize light energy to synthesize their food. Now, the second type is chemosynthetic autotrophic bacteria, that is, the bacteria which utilize the energy derived from chemical reactions to obtain or synthesize their food, such as sulfur bacteria, nitrifying bacteria, and iron bacteria. I again repeat, chemosynthetic, chemo means chemical, synthetic, that is to synthesize, that is the bacteria which utilize chemical reactions, the energy derived from chemical reactions to obtain their food from inorganic compounds, such as sulfur bacteria, nitrogen or nitrifying bacteria. Sulfur bacteria oxidize sulfur containing compounds such as hydrogen sulfide to produce energy. Example, thiobacillus and Beggiatoa. So here you can see, instead of oxygen, sulfur is being released and organic compound is synthesized. Organic substance or the compound is being synthesized. Nitrogen or nitrifying bacteria convert nitrogenous compounds in the soil, such as nitrosomonas oxidizes ammonia into nitrites and nitrobacter oxidizes nitrite into nitrates. Iron bacteria oxidizes ferrous iron to ferric iron, example thiobacillus and gallionella. Hydrogen bacteria utilizes molecular hydrogen to obtain energy, and methanotrophs utilize methane as a source of carbon for energy. The second basic mode of nutrition is heterotrophic. If we split it into two words, hetero means other and trophic means nutrition. That is, the mode of nutrition in which the organism cannot make its own food from the simple organic materials like carbon dioxide and water and depends on the other plants and animals for its nutrition. Heterotrophic is further divided into three types: saprophytic, holozoic, and parasitic. Now, saprophytic are the organisms which obtain their food from dead plants and decaying animal bodies, such as fungus, molds, mushrooms, yeast, and some bacteria. And these convert the simpler substances outside their bodies, and these simpler substances are absorbed as their food. So what do? They decay. They obtain their food from dead plants and decaying animal bodies, and the complex organic substances are decomposed into simpler substances outside the body, and then these simpler substances are absorbed as their food. Parasitic nutrition. Organism obtains their food from another living organism, also known as the host, and it receives its food from the host but gives no benefit in return and harms the host, such as causing diseases. Example, Plasmodium. Plasmodium is a parasite and causes malaria in the host body. Roundworms, cuscuta, ticks, lice, leeches are few examples. Then the third comes holozoic nutrition, means feeding on solid food, taking solid food into the body by the process of ingestion. Food is then digested in the body into simpler substances and absorbed by the body cells. So the undigested and unabsorbed foods are ingested out of the body through the process of egestion. So food is prepared in the form of simple sugar called glucose and is sent to the different parts of the plant. Extra glucose is changed to starch and stored in the leaves of the plant. Thus the food, that is the starch and glucose, is stored as chemical energy and is released during respiration. So far we have been discussing about photosynthesis. So in desert plants known as photoactive, stomata opens during night. Therefore, they take up carbon dioxide at night and produce an intermediate organic acid which is called malic acid. And this malic acid breaks down to release CO2, which is utilized. So photosynthesis will take place during the day, but they utilize the internally stored carbon dioxide from the previous night's fixation, as stomata are closed during the day to prevent water loss. And so the scotoactive or the desert plants rely on the stored CO2 or the carbon dioxide for the light independent reactions of photosynthesis. So in the scotoactive plants, during the night time, carbon dioxide is uptaken. That is, desert plants or the scotoactive plants open their stomata during the night time, absorb CO2, carbon dioxide, and convert it into organic acid, that is the malic acid, as we discussed in the previous slide, which are stored in their vacuoles. And during the daytime, photosynthesis takes place. But CO2 has already been taken in and stored, so stomata remains closed and the stored organic acids, that is the malic acid, are broken down to release CO2, which then enters the Calvin cycle to produce sugar or the glucose for the plants. So desert plants do not synthesize glucose at night, while they do absorb carbon dioxide at night, and final step of converting it into glucose requires sunlight, which takes place during the day. So this unique process is an adaptation to help them survive in hot, arid environments. How is carbon dioxide obtained? Large number of tiny pores are present on the surface of leaves, which are called stomata. And carbon dioxide is taken from the atmosphere, enters through these stomata which are present on the surface. So this is the diagram of a stomata, that is, this is a stomatal pore and these are guard cells. So this is an open stomata and this is the closed stomata. So each stomatal pore on the surface of leaf is surrounded by guard cells. Water flows in the guard cells, swells, and these become curved and stomata opens. And when these guard cells lose water, they shrink, become straight, and stomata closes. So stomata are also present in the green stems of the plant. In broad-leaved plants, stomata occur only in the lower surface of the leaf. In narrow-leaved plants, stomata are distributed on both sides of the leaves. Aquatic plants take carbon dioxide from water. Now, how is water obtained for photosynthesis? Absorbed by roots from the soil by the process of osmosis. Water is absorbed by roots and transported through the xylem vessels to leaves and reaches photosynthetic cells utilized in photosynthesis. Students, here you can see the cross section of a leaf. In the cross section of a leaf, you can see the upper epidermis coated by a waxy cuticle, and below it is present the mesophyll cells or the palisade cells, which contain chloroplast, which are rounded oval cell organelles containing the green pigment chlorophyll, and the presence of chlorophyll, which absorbs sunlight for photosynthesis, makes mesophyll cells or the palisade cells the main site for food production in the leaf. And since these cells are chlorophyll absorb sunlight, the maximum chloroplast is present in the upper surface of the leaf, in the mesophyll cells of the upper surface of the leaf. Now, carbon dioxide will enter through the stomata and diffuse into the mesophyll cells or the palisade cells. Water will be carried through the xylem vessels and by diffusion will reach the mesophyll cells, and thus photosynthesis will take place. So palisade cells or the mesophyll cells are the main site of food production in the leaves. So students, this is all about nutrition in plants. So in this video we have learned about life process and the different modes of nutrition and nutrition in plants. In the next lecture we'll continue with animal nutrition. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned for the next video.